Okay, greetings and peace, everyone. Welcome to Committed Relationships and Spiritual Activity Show and YouTube channel. I am your host, Askuwheteau, and today we are going to speak about consumerism. It is a mental disorder. And now, let me go back and give you a brief history of myself, how I got started on this journey. Back in, I would say ever since the age of 13, that was the start of my spiritual awakening. At the age of 13, that's when I would say my higher self came through and notified me of a lot of things and a lot of things to be aware of, including my family, and also notified me to avoid having children. And I'll go into that another time as far as that, because, and I'll just go ahead and say it. Some people, some souls, when we come into this realm, we had it in our contract to avoid having children. And then for some, we're meant to have children. And the average person they're unaware of this. And there's a lot of souls, a lot of people on this planet who have children when they went against their contract. And that may be the reason why they're having a lot of tough times with their children. That could be it, but that part I'm not too sure. But me listening to my spirit, my higher self, as far as avoiding having children, and me analyzing and investigating families, I really see the reason why, and also knowing my true purpose and knowing that it's not to just run around here and getting caught up in consumerism. I see why it told me don't don't have any children, and I'm happy I avoided having children. But so I would say that was my earliest time that I can remember where my spiritual awakening started to happen, and it was gradual. So the real threshold that I went through was a breakup in 2006, maybe somewhere around that time, with the woman that I was in a relationship with, a committed romantic relationship with. And after that, I realized that, and that's when the spirit came through and made me realize that, look, relationships are something that you have to learn. So don't try to go on to another relationship until you figure out what's going on with yourself and also with relationships. So from then on, I went on literally my journey of studying relationships, and that led me to a whole lot more things to study, including the mind, the human ego, and this whole American society. And now I'm on a much higher analytical and spiritual level now, to where almost everything that's put in front of me, and I have learned to analyze everything, and especially everything that the American society influences its people to get involved with. And consumerism is one of the top situations where the American society influences people, and the top mechanism that this society has for people. And it might be the same way for other people in other countries, but I'm speaking from an American point of view because I studied Americans, and I still consistently study Americans so that I can see what's going on with myself and the types of things that I can avoid for myself, so I can come to my own conclusion and avoid these pitfalls. So I've been studying a while, for a long, long time. So, and I started my studying by moving out of my mother's house and being by myself completely, doing meditating, reading, and sitting down and just thinking about a variety of things that American society tells us to do. So let me go ahead with this. So for me, at my age of, let's see, how old was I? I think I was between 23 and 25 was when I had my first job that had that paid me the highest. That wasn't my first job ever, but it was my first job that I was paid the highest, and that was $12 an hour. And I think it went up to 12.50, something like that. Yeah, it was like 12.50 by the time I was released from that company because the company closed down. And I tell you, boy, oh boy, $12 an hour for a single male who does not have children and he lives by himself. And then my heat bill, we had the little heaters inside our home in our apartments in the apartment building complex that I was in. I was in more of the in the suburban area, and it was more of the higher luxury type buildings. And it was the space heaters, the little heaters that they have on the wall. So my bill at that apartment was only a maximum of like $40 or less, depending on how the amount of that I used. So I'm pulling in a good what 1,200 or more a month, depending on my overtime that I do. Because overtime they give you $15 an hour overtime. So I was pulling in that as much as I can. And I tell you, boy, oh boy, that was the time where I spent the most money on clothing and other bullshit that was completely unnecessary. Yo, when I talk about consumerism, it is a mental disorder. I know because I was under that for many, many years. And the many clothes that I brought, the majority of them I did not even wear to work or anywhere else. Because when I say wear to work, we was working in the mail. I was in the mail department. So we could wear whatever we want to wear as long as it's presentable. So we didn't have to wear suits, ties, whatever, and all that stuff. So we can wear a t-shirt and jeans. So I could have worn the new clothing that I brought at work. But I had so many clothing, so much to wear that it was only a small section that I actually wore. And that was like the whole 2 years or so. And then turns out once my department closed and they let me go, they let people go, I end up wearing those clothing 2 or 3 years later, the new extra clothing that I had available. So look, and that was a time where I started to wake up even more after I brought the clothes 2 or 3 years, maybe 4 years after, when I walked into my closet and I looked at it. No, actually, it was when I moved into a new place, the place that I'm at right now. That's when I realized, I was like, yo, look at all of these clothes that I didn't even wear. And they still got the fucking tag on them. They still got the goddamn tag on them. Yo, and I went back and I started to reflect on what I was doing at that time. I was just spending mindlessly. I was spending mindlessly. And that's what consumerism does. Now let me see my own definition of consumerism. Consumerism is this. Consumerism is a mental disorder that causes an individual to consistently consume by buying anything that they can buy because of the sake of them having money, regardless if the person feels that they absolutely need the item or not. Let me give you an example how a lot of people who are under the trap of consumerism, what they do is, and I studied my mother too. I studied myself and I studied my mother, and I know this as a fact. A lot of people who get money, as soon as they get paid, if they don't go directly to the mall, they'll go directly to anywhere that involves buying some sort of item, whether it be Walmart, whether it be the mall, whether it be even to go buy something to eat. Go buy something to eat. That's the first thing that they do, and this always involves their ego in one way or another. their ego so that they can feel better about themselves and they can walk around. Oh, I have a new car. I have a new this. I have a new that. I have new sneakers. And some people, it involves sneakers. Some people literally have a job so that they can consistently buy new sneakers, the new Jordans, the new Nikes, the new Reeboks. And some people have a job just so that they can support their video game habits. Just like Jay-Z said, or Jay-Z said in the movie Fade to Black. What's he said? What he said? He heard he was talking to somebody in the studio and he heard that Just Blaze only make beats so he can support his video game habits. Well, that's how it is with some people. They really have a job just to support their video game habits, whatever it is. And these people who are under this disorder, and I call it a disorder because that's literally what it is. It's a mind control cycle that most people are unconscious of, and they're spending unconsciously, mindlessly. And they won't recognize it until way later. I mean, really, really recognize it. They'll say like, oh, okay, well, I got to control my buying habits. And then they end up the next day to go out and buy 10 new shirts that they already have, like 10 new shirts that they bought last week or the week before or the month before that they haven't even wore yet. And it's ridiculous. So it keeps people trapped. And this is what the American society consistently, consistently puts its cast over the American people through TV, number one. That's the top mechanism that they utilize to consistently influence people of consumerism. The media all over, just all over the media. You got the commercials where they always saying, buy this. This will make you feel like this. If they won't literally say it'll make you feel like this, they'll subliminally put it in front of your face with images and sounds. People have to really, really learn how effective images and sounds are on their subconscious mind. This is why this is the reason why I mentioned in one of my other videos about mind control, and also one of my other mind videos where I'm telling people to focus on learning your subconscious mind and what it is, and your mind in general. Because if you don't know what it is and how it functions, then you're more likely to be susceptible to the mind control that the world societies project and they put out there to trap you, and also other people who know more information than you do. So it really, really helps to be able to learn this information so that you can protect yourself. So once a person, an individual, and even it starts, this is how they get you. They get you early on when you are a child. Your parents, one of your parents or caretakers, they put you in front of that goddamn TV. I'm telling you that TV is poison to your mind if you don't know what your mind is, how to control it, how to protect it, and control your own behavioral patterns. And most people are unaware of all of this stuff, and so they fall into the traps of TV. And it's consistently poisoning their mind with this virtual reality. That's what the TV box is. It is a virtual reality mechanism that's putting images into people's minds, telling them what reality is, when in actuality, most of the time, the majority of the time, reality that the TV box tells you is not actually reality. And once people wake up to what reality really is and what's really going on, they're going to be shocked. And that's the reason why for 6 years I avoided watching TV. And boy, oh boy, my mental clarity, my inner peace raised to the sky high, extremely sky high. Now I can analyze stuff so well. And that's how I was able to analyze and receive these relationship insights that I share here on my YouTube channel, my blog, and also my Facebook group, and in my Committed Relationship ebook. Because if it wasn't for me stopping watching TV, then I don't know if I would be able to have this mental clarity to be able to see what's really going on in this society. So that's largely where the consumerism comes from. And then you have the people who are who have that disorder. I call it consumerism disorder. They walk around influencing other people to consume, consume, consume. So these individuals, in my opinion, after analyzing these people and analyzing my mother, they're like zombies. If you, those people out there who are zombie movie fans, you know how it is when it's important to avoid being around these zombies, and it's important to identify who's about to turn into a zombie, because some people, they might not look like a zombie at first, but they're transforming into a zombie. Well, here in this world, in America at least, these individuals, they look normal, but they have so many psychological issues, and they're like zombies, very close to zombies, because they're unconscious of their psychological issues. And even if they are conscious of it, very few people actually seek to resolve their psychological issues, much more than just sit there and they deal with it. They learn to deal with them rather than resolve them. Just think about that right quick. How many times have you heard somebody say that they have psychological issues, and then after that, they'll either say, I just deal with it, or they won't say anything at all? I have a lot of family members that say that, and then that's when I realized, like, wait a minute. So people actually know that they have psychological issues, but they don't want to do anything to resolve them. I'm like, oh, so that's what's going on. So that's one of the other things that I've learned by studying my family also. And what moved me to actually do this recording is I recently spent time with my mother after giving it a month and a half break, because I literally said the last time I dealt with her, I said, all right, this is it. I'm not dealing with her for a very, very long time. And it was actually her who called me to to help my sister. And then that's the way that I was able to, she was able to see me, because she already know that I'm done dealing with her until she matures and she fixes her psychological issues and gets out of her ego, because my mother is ego driven. She's highly ego driven, and she is just all over the place, and she just steps all over people psychologically and verbally. And she's like a big fat brat as far as psychologically, that's just stepping all over people and thinking that she's an adult just because she has all of these material possessions. And that is another thing that I've learned by examining my family and also examining a variety of other people, is that that's how I've learned that the American society tricks people into believing that being a mature adult is having all of these material possessions like a car, a home, money in the bank, and even a relationship or children, a romantic relationship or children. Those are aspects of mature adulthood if an individual decides to go that route, but that's not necessarily maturity itself. And so that's when the consumerism trap comes into play. It keeps people from perceiving higher mind, higher spiritual information, and it keeps them trapped into their ego mind. And their ego mind is the false self that people believe that they are. And go back and listen to my recording of the human ego. What is it? Go back and listen to that. I go into more detail about that. So the consumerism, that inflates the ego, especially when a person is trapped in consumerism, and when they get money, they just get money, then they just want to go buck wild and buy unnecessary stuff. Just like the movie Brad Pitt said in the movie Fight Club. Go watch Fight Club, when he sat down with the other dude, Ed Norton's character, in that bar, and sitting down at the stool. He was saying that just look at it. The TV is telling us to buy unnecessary shit. It's bullshit. And it's exactly what he Brad Pitt's character said, and he was speaking truth right then and there. And it's like they tell you in the movies, like, look, this is what we're doing to you, but most people, they're not waking up. They're not waking up because they're still in the zombie-like mode. as far as the mind. But once you wake up, you're going to be shocked. A lot of people going to be shocked. I think it's funny now. I'm just happy that I'm out of it. I'm out of it, out of the consumerism, and now I can just relax because my anxiety is gone. There's no more being anxious about, oh, I gotta go buy this, I gotta go buy that, I gotta go get the new this, I gotta go get the new that. And then there's still people focusing on buying new cars too. I'm telling you, a vehicle, like I said in one of my other videos, is a super advanced wheelchair. But you can only perceive this when you reach your higher mind aspects. If you're still on a low human mind aspect where you think cars and airplanes are the end all be all and it's the best thing in the world, then perceiving a vehicle as a super advanced wheelchair, a car, a SUV, a van, whatever, then you more than likely won't perceive it like that. But now that my mind is getting more and more evolved and I'm consistently seeking ways to evolve it, then I see things on a higher level. And that's why I avoid buying certain things and getting involved with certain people, certain organizations, and certain situations that most people get involved with. So if you speak with me, you'll really perceive that I'm really am a simple person as far as these material possessions and as far as just being chill and relaxed, because this is the way the system works. The system as far as spirituality and in this physical realm that people call life. The more, let me make sure that this is still recording. All right. The more matter you bring onto you, the less spiritually you can raise up, and the less likely you're able to reach your higher mind, which your higher mind is able to perceive things on a higher level, and you can get your mind is overall operates on an optimum level to your highest potential. Very few people are at that level. Most people are at a very low level. They haven't even reached not even the scratch of of potential as far as what their mind can do. And I'm consistently learning what I can do with my mind myself. And also, the more matter you bring on to yourself, which is material possessions, the more anxiety increases, because your energy is directed in unnecessary areas of your life, in unnecessary things of your life, because it pulls on your psychological bandwidth. And so it's like the more material possessions you're seeking to obtain for yourself, the more difficult your life will be. But once you start detaching from those material possessions that are unnecessary, and you only keep and obtain the necessary ones that are necessary for survival, and the more simplistic your life is and your mindset is, then the more open you will be to the higher spiritual information, and the more your inner wisdom and inner peace, inner clarity, mental clarity increases, because your goddamn ego has shrinked and you suppressed your ego, because your ego deals with consumerism. It wants more. It wants to walk around feeling proud because it has a new car. It has a new house. It has a new girlfriend. It has a new clothing. It has the new shirts, the new sneakers. It has a lot of money in the bank. It has credit cards that can just spend. It's always about this physical realm for self-seeking gratification. Got it. That's the best way to describe it. Got it. All right, I'm going to leave it at that before I ramble on too much. Leave it on a good note. All right, and if you want more information, you can go ahead and subscribe to this YouTube channel, Committed Relationships and Spiritual Activity. You can also email me for anything as far as questions, concerns at CommittedRelationships@gmail.com. I also have an ebook titled Committed Relationships, the starting process to the process. You can check out my first two free chapters that I have available. It'll be in the description, and check out the description for more information anyways in general. All right. My name is Neo, and until next time, peace out.